It's a rare visit, but an important one that'll be closely watched around the globe and comes as yet another sign of deepening ties, much to the chagrin of many countries, especially the West. Russian President Vladimir Putin is on his way to the North Korean capital Pyongyang, where he will meet Kim Jong Un. Significantly, this is Putin's first visit to Pyongyang in 24 years. So why is this visit crucial? For multiple reasons. The US and South Korea have accused North Korea of supplying Russia with artillery and other equipment for the ongoing Ukraine war, likely in exchange for food, money and military aid. Both countries deny the existence of an arms deal, but when the leaders met last year in September, they vowed to strengthen military ties. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Putin has become a pariah to the West. His country faces a rash of sanctions meant to cripple its war economy, and he has been seeking allies elsewhere. Just last month, Putin visited China, where he and Xi Jinping made a sweeping affirmation of their shared opposition to what they see as a US-led world order. Like many other things, Putin's visit to the north is shrouded in secrecy. But Pyongyang is all decked out to welcome the Russian president, with the city's streets lined up with Russian flags and portraits of the leader. The friendship between North Korea and Russia is eternal, reads one banner outside the Pyongyang International Airport. In a column, a North Korean state newspaper wrote Dong Sinmin. Putin extolled Moscow's friendship with Pyongyang, saying, "I'm convinced that our joint efforts will take our bilateral interaction to a higher level." Tomorrow, the 19th of June, will be the key day of Putin's state visit. There will be an official ceremony where Putin will receive a guard of honor. The major talks will commence thereafter. As part of the two-day visit, Putin will be treated to a gala concert. He's also scheduled to visit the only Orthodox church in North Korea, the Church of the Life-Giving Trinity, on his way back to the airport. Putin will travel straight to Vietnam next for another two-day trip in a display of the communist-governed country's ties with Russia, which is likely to rankle the United States. So what is Putin hoping to achieve from this visit? Experts say he began this relationship based on his need for artillery, ammunition, rockets and ballistic missiles for his invasion of Ukraine, and he will need continued supplies in the weeks and months ahead. Beyond defense, strengthening relations with North Korea is also important as Putin tries to offset international sanctions. John Nisson-Wright, head of the Japan and Korea's program at Cambridge University Center for Geopolitics, says strengthening ties with its old Cold War partner allows Russia to undermine the international sanctions regime, counter any suggestion that the US and its allies have been able to isolate Moscow, and also add to concerns in Washington that it may have to deal with a materially strengthened North Korea. As we mentioned, Putin is visiting North Korea for the first time in 24 years. When he last visited the country in 2000, Putin had just become president of Russia. He was met with an elaborate welcome, including a 21-gun salute. The then North Korean leader Kim Jong II, father of the current leader Kim Jong Un, had welcomed Putin personally at the airport. Putin back then was on a mission to restore Moscow's relationship with the North. Once he came to power, Putin actively sought to rebuild ties with Pyongyang, in what analysts say was a sign of Putin looking to expand Russia's regional influence. Now, why will the West watch this visit with great interest and concern? This is a rare overseas trip for Putin since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began in 2022. It's also a key moment for North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, who has not hosted another world leader in Pyongyang, a politically isolated capital, since the COVID pandemic. The visit is expected to further cement a burgeoning partnership between the two powers that is founded on their shared animosity towards the West and driven by Putin's need for support in his ongoing war on Ukraine. The two leaders plan to sign a new strategic partnership, which will replace documents that were signed between Moscow and Pyongyang in 1961, 2000 and 2001. US National Security spokesperson John Kirby told reporters on Monday that the Biden administration wasn't concerned about the trip itself, but added What we are concerned about is the deepening relationship between these two countries. As we mentioned, the US, South Korea and other countries have accused North Korea of providing substantial military aid to Russia's war effort in recent months, while observers have raised concerns that Moscow may be violating international sanctions to aid Pyongyang's development of its nascent military satellite program. Both countries have denied North Korean arm exports. Putin's trip reciprocates the one Kim Jong Un made last September, when he travelled in his armoured train to Russia's Far Eastern region for a visit that included stops at a factory that produces fighter jets and a rocket launch facility. This visit comes as tensions remain high on the Korean peninsula. Last week, Kim hailed the future of the country's meaningful ties and close comradeship in a message to Putin, commemorating Russia's National Day. In an article for a national newspaper this week, Putin thanked Pyongyang for showing unwavering support for Russia's war in Ukraine and said the two countries were ready to confront the ambition of the collective West. He said the two were actively advancing their multifaceted partnership and would develop alternative trade and mutual settlement mechanisms not controlled by the West, jointly oppose illegitimate unilateral restrictions and shape the architecture of equal and indivisible security in Eurasia. This meeting also comes just days after a summit of the Group of Seven or G7 nations in Italy, where Western leaders reiterated their enduring support for Ukraine and agreed to use profits from frozen Russian assets to back a $50 billion loan to the war-torn country. There was also a Kiev-backed international peace summit over the weekend in Switzerland, attended by more than 100 countries. It was meant to drum up support for Zelensky's vision for peace, which calls for a complete withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukrainian territory. Now, here's what is significant. Last month, US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin told American lawmakers that the provision of North Korean munitions and missiles, as well as Iranian drones, had allowed Russian forces to get back up on their feet. Between August last year and February this year, Pyongyang shipped about 6,700 containers to Russia, which could accommodate more than 3 million rounds of 152mm artillery shells or more than 500,000 rounds of 122mm multiple rocket launchers, according to South Korea's defense ministry. There's plenty in this visit for the North Korean leader as well. A visit from a leader of a permanent member country of the United Nations Security Council will provide a signal to Kim Jong Un's domestic audience of his global clout and a chance to push for deeply needed economic and technological support from Moscow. In March this year, Moscow vetoed a UN resolution to renew independent monitoring of North Korea's violations of Security Council sanctions. Many analysts say this is a friendship born of convenience. Russia desperately needs ammunition, North Korea needs money. North Korea may be able to supply weapons to Russia for now, but how long can they sustain supplies under strict Western sanctions? That's the question many ask. But the two countries have another area of convergence. Both are allies in the battle against what they perceive as the imperialist West, and they are keen to send signals to the United States and Europe about further cooperation. While the two leaders' bromance will be on display once again, as they look to explore the boundaries of their ties, the relationship may continue to be strictly transactional. But make no mistake, the West will be keeping a hawk's eye on this visit, as will South Korea.